Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. Starting off with our top story of the day coming from earlier this week, Wednesday, which began with a very special surprise at West Bloomfield High School, and we joined along to capture the moment.
And I'm here today to celebrate and announce that Susie Eisner, West Bloomfield Assistant Principal, is Michigan's Assistant Principal of the Year.
That was Susie Eisner, who you saw right there.
Totally overwhelming.
On the Splash Live earlier this week after the recent announcement of her being a finalist for this honor. Wednesday, she received the award at an assembly joined by her colleagues, friends, family, and the students that she advocates for every day. Eisner also spoke to Dave Scott from our team to explain what this moment means to her after nearly 30 years of serving her alma mater.
Totally overwhelming. I think I'm so honored. And the thing is, I work with administrators who are so incredible and so amazing that then to be called the Assistant Principal of the Year, like, it's because of the work that I do with them and the kids. And I said that before, like, it's everybody all together.
Wendy Zebb, Executive Director of the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals, explained what she believed ultimately put Susie Eisner over the top as the clear-cut honoree for our state's top assistant principal.
I know she's a 29-year veteran, a graduate of West Bloomfield High School, and just a true, amazing administrator, just the kind of representation that we want.
And that's a great word, too. Administrators are assets to our school by advocating for students and maintaining an inviting learning environment. West Bloomfield School Superintendent Dr. Danya Bazzi says Susie's work is essential to maintaining those necessities, making her valuable and cherished to students and the community.
Susie Eisner is really looking at, she does a lot of our counseling work and master scheduling, but more importantly, she does our social emotional learning curriculum and works with our school counselors very closely. And that's why she is who she is. There's no one who gives more care to our students than Miss Eisner at the high school. They are very lucky to have her. We are lucky to have her, and it's just an absolute honor to be able to work alongside of her.
Once again, a huge congratulations is in order for Susie Eisner, Michigan's 2024 Assistant Principal of the Year. A win for us all here on Wednesday, a win for her, and like we said, a win for the entire West Bloomfield School District community. Having her take care of our kids and their futures, we definitely want to thank her for all of that work. You can learn more and give her your personal congratulations. Visit the West Bloomfield School District's Facebook page at West Bloomfield Schools, and you can watch the entire surprise ceremony that we captured live by visiting our website on demand, civiccentertv.com. Click on the On Demand tab for more information. And as we gear up for the holiday season, we hit the streets of West Bloomfield to ask residents about their biggest challenges in finding gifts for their loved ones this year. Let's see what they had to say.
Nobody wants anything. So you end up getting fool's gifts, except for the grandkids. They have lists a mile long.
I would say probably going to the mall, seeing if I can get them now before everyone starts getting them. Maybe Black Friday deals. That's what I'm looking for. Maybe Cyber Monday, most likely. Try to get it from home so I don't have to get in the craziness. That's about it.
Times are a little tough. Prices have gone up and everything, but we're pulling it together. So although, like I said, things aren't the same as they had been a little bit, but we're making it.
And gift shopping isn't the only thing on people's minds. We also asked West Bloomfield residents how they're preparing for and celebrating the holidays this year. Here's what they shared.
I plan for our family to get together, our sons and other relatives to get together at our house. We usually have the holiday celebration at our house. So we're planning and getting ready for that, for it to happen.
We keep a tradition in my house. We decorate around the house, and I have the children, help out and everything, and it brings us all together more so as a family. Like my in-laws, they're in town, so we expect to have them around the holiday season at the end of the year as well. So it's all about family for me.
Got a bunch of family coming in from Canada, California, everything. They're all coming over our house, so as plans are already being made, I don't even have a choice.
Well, something different. Versus putting it all on my mother, I will be putting it on me and my older brother. We'll be hosting Thanksgiving this year and Christmas. We have all decided to try an extracurricular activity. I think we're going to the movies and maybe downtown during the holiday season and just celebrating Christmas Eve together with breakfast. So that's something different than your traditional Christmas and Thanksgiving at mom's.
It's always great to hear how our community is coming together to make the holidays very, very special. You can stay tuned as we continue bringing you stories of holiday cheer from right here in West Bloomfield, by the way. More important news right here in West Bloomfield, even affecting more Oakland County, we should say. Oakland County voters recently approved a 20-year renewal and increase for the Parks millage, which also gave an opportunity for Oakland County Parks to offer free entry into some of those parks. So to give out a little bit more details and information regarding that, joining us right here live on The Splash from Oakland County Parks, we actually have Parks Director Chris Ward joining us. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So essentially, we are talking about something that the voters recently approved that's going to improve our Oakland County Parks. So can you just talk about how Oakland County Parks will be improving in the short term and the long term thanks to voters?
Yeah, I definitely want to say thank you to all the voters who supported the millage proposal that was on the ballot. We were just overwhelmed and grateful for the sizable majority of the vote that backed that. Immediately, we have implemented the free park entry for all of our county parks. So, any county park, pretty much any park that ends in the word Oaks is one of ours. Please feel free to come and explore the outdoors at no cost. Our dog park entry fees have also been now eliminated. So. Just a small barrier that may have been keeping people from coming out and enjoying the outdoors.
Interesting. So already giving benefits to local residents to enjoy our parks for free. Yeah. So thank you for providing that information and context, Mr. Ward. So what are the main goals for using this additional money that Oakland County Parks will be getting in their next year budget?
Yeah, we're very focused on trying to make very smart financial decisions. So where there are projects that were already planned and sort of in the pipeline, we are going to be scaling those projects up to take advantage of, mobilizing only once to get these construction projects completed rather than phasing them over a period of years. So there's some major park revitalization projects we have underway in Pontiac, Southfield and Oak Park that we have already approved scaling up those projects to add more amenities and complete more work there. We also will be able to, for the first time, really tackle decisions regarding our major facilities that were beyond our financial capacity to deal with. In particular, our two water parks are reaching a critical point where we have to make a decision whether to reinvest or look at alternative uses there. And these were simply things that we just were not able to deal with in the past, because we just didn't have the funds.
Okay. Things I'm not sure everyone was quite aware about, but now that that information is out there, we know that this money is going to actually help with that. And you mentioned something about improving amenities, so I want to speak on that. Just in regardless with improving amenities or anything at all, how do you all plan to involve the community in some of the decisions about these changes?
Yeah, great question. Public engagement and feedback is a big part of our process. So we are regularly putting out surveys, conducting open houses, sending out postcards to residents seeking their feedback in terms of what they'd like to see developed in our parks, their preferences in terms of design elements, different uses that they'd like to see developed. So I hope anyone who's interested in those things, keep an eye on our webpage, our Facebook, social media accounts, and feel free to give us your input or just send me an email. I get them all the time from people who are looking for, various amenities, disc golf, new playgrounds, pickleball courts, whatever the case may be.
Nice. Love that. So with us right here, live on The Splash, by the way, Oakland County Parks Director Chris Ward, talking about the new improvements that we will see at West Bloomfield and other Oakland County parks across our area. I want to ask you, just in the past, just what kind of programs, initiatives, and any improvements, what creative partnerships have helped improve parks around the Oakland County area? And then how do you see those partnerships actually playing in future projects?
Well, thanks for the question. So we love partnerships. They really are a great way to take a limited amount of money and get a whole lot more value, and take assets that are already existing and make them available and open for everybody to use them. So, we developed an off-road vehicle park up in the north end of the county in Holly. That was a partnership with the Michigan DNR. They brought 50% of the financial resources to the table, and we sort of share if that facility makes a profit, we share in the profit. If there's a loss, we share in the loss. Recently, we have also really focused in on urban park revitalization and development. So we've entered into agreements with the City of Pontiac, Southfield, Oak Park, Madison Heights, where we're taking on city parks that had deteriorated and suffered for lack of investment over the years, and we're undertaking a major revitalization in those parks and then incorporating them into the Oakland County Park System. And it's a great step forward for us because over the years we've developed great parks, especially in the northern end of the county and the far west end of the county, more rural areas, but we have not had a strong presence in those urban communities. And there's a clear way to accomplish that. The parks are already there. It's just sometimes these cities are dealing with financial challenges. And so if we're able to work together, like we have in these cases, we're able to, take a park and turn it around and provide a great resource for people. And then now we're kind of working on this next level, which is partnerships with communities that don't necessarily have some of those financial challenges, but where we haven't had a strong presence. So West Bloomfield Township, we have signed a initial agreement to partner with them on the development of Pine Lake Park.
Okay.
And our role will be bringing some money to the table for the improvements that are going to be created there in partnership with the Township Parks and Rec Department. That's going to allow them to move forward a lot faster than they would have ordinarily been able to. and probably scale up and make that much nicer park in the evening.
Yes, we love to hear that. That's things, that action taking place, and that's things that we can actually see that's tangible, and we love the work that you're doing, by the way, with that. And just to speak on that a little bit more, if you don't mind, how do you plan to ensure that residents and taxpayers alike are going to see the value and results from their investment in these local parks?
Again, great question. And I don't want to talk too much about partnerships, but we are big fans of them. And so I think we've developed a model there that we just want to keep building off of. Find partners that have assets that are underutilized, maybe the public isn't aware of, that a little bit of investment will make them, much more accessible for everybody to use. Maybe they're, having challenges sustaining operations. So there are gems like that all over Oakland County. And we really want to zero in on taking advantage of those opportunities, especially if we have a local government partner or nonprofit entity that really welcomes that type of partnership. We survive and are able to exist based on the goodwill and support of the voters. So we're very, very focused on delivering results for them and reaching all corners of Oakland County. So there's some areas of the county where we have a weaker presence that we really want to put a lot of extra attention to. That's more of the southern end of the county and some of the more populated areas. So you'll be seeing us do a lot more in those communities.
Perfect.
And we're going to be involved in things we haven't in the past, like trailway development and maintenance, opening up our rivers for recreational use, that type of thing. So more to come.
We are excited for it too, Chris. Thank you so much. Any additional information, important information about our local parks, Oakland County parks, or just anything for the residents in general?
No, I just say look forward to a lot of announcements coming in the near future. Some of the things we're going to be able to get the money out rather quickly are great, but also sort of laying the groundwork for things that are going to be constructed and built in the future. Okay. We've got the potential of a couple of major acquisitions as well that are in discussion that will, potentially be future county parks. There's one property that's nearby West Bloomfield Township, part of the Oakland Community College campus that we are strongly considering making an offer for. That would be a great county park to serve the whole area.
We know whatever you do is going to be greater and best for the Greater West Bloomfield area and Oakland County residents in general. We want to thank you so much for your valuable time. Once again, with us right here live on The Splash from Oakland County Parks Director Chris Ward. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Great information. And once again, those funds, the additional funds from that millage will allow the county to expedite some of these long-term projects and enhancements, including potential repairs or alternative uses for water parks facing high maintenance costs. As we get more information regarding Oakland County Parks and West Bloomfield Parks, we will keep you updated as well. Hey, are you a fan of podcasts? Do you listen to podcasts? Well, I have one for you. This actually from a West Bloomfield resident. Started a podcast called Classic Conversations. Actually started 4 years ago during the COVID-19 pandemic to indulge in his love for pop culture, TV, movies, and nostalgia all together. I'm actually excited to be joined right here live on The Splash by the host of Classic Conversations, Jeff Dwoskins. Thank you for being here, Jeff. Looks like you have a nice setup. Is this your podcast setup that we're looking at right now?
It is my
Love
podcast
that.
setup. Yeah,
Love that. So if you're watching on CivicCenterTV.com, you can see his lovely setup right there. But let's get straight into it. What inspired you to dive into the wonderful world of podcasting during the pandemic?
I always wanted to do podcasting. I originally was really into social media. Well, I still am. And I was going to start a social media-based podcast in 2017. Called Viral Intentions. And I kind of just sat on it for a long time. I was really into Twitter at the time and, just Viral Intentions, kind of like Cruel Intentions, the movie. I thought it was, a good play on words. And I just sat on it. And then come March 2020, the pandemic hits and we all are home with some extra time in our hands. And I'm like, oh, I have time finally to do my podcast and realize I can't start a podcast called Viral Intentions in the middle of a pandemic. And so
good one.
I mean, that's not even a joke. It is literally what happened. And I had everything. And so I had to change it. It was originally called The Jeff Dwoskin Show and involved the classic conversations as I kind of understood what I was, where I was going with this. And so, but it was always interviews and talking to famous people. I've always loved going to Comic-Cons, the Motor City Comic-Con every year, meeting the celebrities. You can see they by tens on my wall if you're watching. And that's what I did. I loved it. So when I'm like, wait, they'll talk to me?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I can do this. I can do this.
You never know who will respond to you if you just reach out on social media, be like, hey, I'm starting a podcast or I'm doing a podcast. I would love to have you. And then next thing you know, hey, I'm down. I'll do it. Nowadays we can just do it from Zoom or do it remotely. It makes things so much easier. Everyone can be a professional interviewer, podcaster, but it makes a difference when you're consistent and you're growing and doing the things like you're doing to become in the top 1.5% of all listened to podcasts. I want to get into your lineup of guests, right? It reads like a tribute to classic television. What draws you to these particular stars and shows?
It's a lot of it's people that I grew up watching and, people from the Brady Bunch, Cousin Oliver and, Peter and Cindy and the Love Boat, Isaac, Gopher and Doc, Happy Days, Ralph Malv and Potsy and Mrs. Cunningham. So these are people I grew up watching. And so to be able to spend time with them and just talk to them about their careers and how they got to where they got to, it's just fascinating. And it's sort of a little dream come true. So it's, once they started saying yes, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. All right, we got something here. So, yeah.
No, you definitely, what I want to highlight is the fact that you definitely tapped into a market. For you to find that lane and then consistently do what you do to put out that content and then grow into the position that you're in, that says a lot. You're in the top 1.5% of listened to podcasts, a remarkable feat. What do you think resonated so strongly with your audience for you to grow to where you are now?
I think if you're in the right demographic and you see these folks, you want to hear them. And I focus the conversations on conversations that I'd want to hear. They're literally conversations. Like I try to make it sound like I've known these folks and we're talking, we've known each other forever.
Right.
Even though that's not the case. And, I put a lot of time into those conversations. And I think the end result of my conversations with these folks, even if they talk to other folks, I usually get something unique in the collaboration. And this particular interview is special.
Yeah. That's kind of my approach too when I think about it, Jeff. I like to talk to strangers like I knew them, like we just got done talking like 5 minutes ago. Let's just pick up from right here. And I've never met you a day in my life. I think that builds organic chemistry between people sometimes. You'd be surprised how that goes. But with us right here live on The Splash, host of the Classic Conversations podcast, Jeff Dwoskin, talking about his success and consistency of creating a podcast in a very saturated market, by the way. With that being said, I know you have a background in comedy. We've already kind of went over that. And also digital media. Just talk about how these two skills/tools have also helped your podcast and platform stand out.
Absolutely. Well, I think being a stand-up comic for 20 years helps me kind of engage and chat and removes a little bit of the fear of talking to somebody. And I can kind of tap into places maybe that other people might not or might not feel comfortable, but I can do it in a way just because I'm used to kind of engaging with people in that particular way and kind of, connecting on that level.
Right.
Digital marketing, it just helps that, I just kind of understand the landscape. I can get to be really good at social these days to kind of get the word out and promote yourself. It's a lot of self-promotion.
Yeah, and you have to use those tools. That alone can kind of show you or kind of help you stand out. That can make you show up in algorithms. I'll say mastering the digital media side, the SEO side. But how can you keep their attention? You can capture their attention by popping up in the algorithms, but can you keep their attention? Can you keep them engaged? Can you keep them wanting to know what you're doing next in that type of sense? So with that being said, how do you kind of line up or come to the idea of what you're going to feature in the next episode, who you're going to interview and things of that nature?
Well, a lot of it sometimes is, you reach out to 10 people. Sometimes 5 say yes, and sometimes 1 says yes, and sometimes none say yes. So, you go to the next group. My focus is always, which is what I tell anyone, it's like, you can't beat the algorithms. They're going to change underneath you. Just focus on doing good content and good things. And, everything kind of works out in the end. So that's my focus, is just sort of, doing what I want to do. I do record ahead of, a lot ahead of time. Like, I'm not recording today and it releases next Monday type of thing.
Okay.
One thing that's different from my podcast than others, a lot of times they're talking about books, but those books are about their life. So it works perfect for the format that I have. But I'm not like a promotion thing. I'm not like, oh, hey, all right, well, your new show is on Amazon tomorrow and blah, blah. It's not like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to then, because I have such a backlog of interviews recorded, I can kind of pace it out, and famous person, person you haven't heard of, but is just as interesting. A lot of the interviews that I do that people may not even understand who they are, because they weren't Penny on Lost in Space, or they weren't, Cagney from Cagney and Lazy. They were Joe Alves, the guy that created the shark in Jaws and made all that visual work. And every visual element, if you're familiar with the movie Close Encounters of the Third Time that you can think of, this guy, Joe Alves, is responsible for. And so like that interview in itself is amazing. It's one of those kind of gems. And there's a lot of those type of gems where you're like, I don't know who this person is. But it's likely their stories are very robust, very amazing. And they're kind of the behind the scenes of the things that you do know about.
I love that perspective. Every now and then you'll stumble across an interview on YouTube. It'll be somebody, I was the executive or assistant production manager or director of such and such movie, but then they have so many stories or different angles or never before heard of stories. You be like, wow, I never knew that. So I love that you're bringing that to that, because those are gems, like you said, those hidden stories that you're bringing to the world and to the digital media in general. So keep doing that good work right there. I love that. I'm an advocate for it. Real quick, any guests, dream guest that you want to have that you have not yet had?
I would love to have Henry Winkler on my show. That's sort of like my dream guest.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane, Steven Spielberg, those would all be great.
Okay. Names I'm familiar with. I like that. Yeah. Hey, good luck. We hopefully you'll get those. Last question. You mentioned bringing a bit of Michigan into your episodes whenever you can. Can you just talk about the role that Michigan or your Michigan background plays in shaping the podcast, if it does at all?
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm reading someone's memoir or something, like Dean Butler, he was Almanzo on Little House on the Prairie. So he was the one that married Melissa Gilbert's character. If you need to paint it a little more on that. So I'm reading his thing, and it's just, he starts talking about Frankenmuth, Michigan in his memoir. And so we ended up having a conversation about that, because I like to dive into that, because it's like no one else is really going to ask him about that. Right. So we ended up talking about Bronner's, because he was a huge Christmas fan. So we ended up talking about Bronner's, that Christmas Wonderland. And then, I introduced him, but if for some reason he hadn't had the fried chicken, so it was like, he didn't go to either. I'm like, which one did you go to? And he's like, yeah, I didn't. I'm like, what? He's like, but he was really into the fudge, so it's like, So it's like, if you can bring, and a lot of times they come through Michigan a lot, you know what I mean? Like that, it's been a part of their journey as well, just because Michigan is such a hot spot for entertainment or performing. So it's likely that at some point they've been here.
Yes, yes. Hey, Jeff, thank you so much for bringing some laughs, some perspectives to us, and your podcast. Once again, just tell people how they can watch and or listen to your podcast on any platform, please.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a podcast listener, you can go to anyone, type in Classic Conversations. If you also add in my name, Jeff Dwoskin, it probably comes up a little easier. Classic, jeffisfunny.com is my website. You can hit that up. That's the easiest thing to remember probably. And then you can link to any podcast from there, any player from there as well. So, yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you so much again, man. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who aspire to do podcasts can get a lot of gems out of this information, out of this interview. Once again, host of Classic Conversations podcast, Jeff Dwoskin. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
If you do have time, make sure you search online Classic Conversations by Jeff Dwoskins to support him. By the way, he is in the top 1.5% of all listened to podcasts online. So that's another reason to support also. We have plenty more to talk about, including what our youth in the Greater West Bloomfield area is doing to impact the world. We'll talk about that soon. We are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Hi, I'm Lauren Azuri, the Park Naturalist Supervisor for West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations to you, Civic Center TV, for hitting 1 million views on YouTube. We really appreciate your partnership in spreading nature education in a creative way in our community. I'm Lauren Azuri, proud to be 1 in a million.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's what white people think. You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Kevin McIntosh. Shifting our focus on to West Bloomfield High School, more specifically, the girls basketball coach, girls basketball coach, and his recognition as of recently. Under his leadership, just for note, their team has achieved 3 conference titles, 3 district championships, 3 regional championships, 3 quarterfinal appearances, 2 state semifinal appearances, 1 state runner-up finisher, and 2 state championships. So actually joining us right here live on The Splash is the head coach for the girls varsity basketball team at West Bloomfield High School, Darren McAllister. Thank you for being here, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, congratulations on being named Michigan High School Coaches Association Girls Basketball Coach of the Year. I just got to get it from you first and foremost. What does it feel, or what does it mean to you personally and professionally to get this recognition?
To be honest with you, I'm greatly honored. I definitely appreciate it. But I guess for me, I'm constantly in go mode. It's the beginning of the season, so that's where my mind's at. I guess when I'm done and I'm sitting back and I'm reflecting, that's when I can really have a greater appreciation. But to be honored by the Michigan High School Coaches Association, it's one of the top honors that I can possibly have, and I greatly appreciate it.
That's real. And I can respect that response too. Essentially, you're so trapped into the process and your system and continuously achieving great things. You're like, hey, I appreciate that, thank you, but we still got more work to do. There's still a journey to be taken. So I understand and respect that. The success of your leadership under your team over the past 3 years has been incredible. What has been the key to sustaining this level of excellence within the system that you create?
Well, it all starts up top. I mean, we have a wonderful superintendent who's very supportive of the program. She's one of our biggest fans. And then we have an excellent athletic director, Eric Pierce. He gives us all the resources that we need to be successful. And then I'll go on record again saying I have the best coaching staff in the state of Michigan. And you tie all that together with some players that give you their desire, determination, and their desire to be great. I mean, what else can you get other than a couple state championships and a runner-up?
Yeah, I understand that. If you're watching on CivicCenterTV.com, you can see some of the B-roll that we played of the West Bloomfield High School girls basketball team at the state championship at the Breslin Center, East Lansing. I was there. I witnessed that firsthand. It was a great experience. But then some of the all-stars, the Davis twins, who were key during that championship, now playing D1 basketball at Georgia. Can you just talk about how it feels for them to be excelling at the next level of basketball in their career?
It's a wonderful feeling. I mean, when I I'm a fan from afar, watching the Davis twins and the success that they're having, watching Kendall Hendricks do her thing at Loyola, Chicago, and then watching Destiny Washington do her thing from an academic perspective at Ohio State. It's sort of like, that big father is just sitting back watching his children succeed. And man, it's a great feeling, Kevin. It really is.
So kind of just piggybacking off of that real quick, how do you kind of use all of their success going on to the next level to encourage and motivate your current team?
Well, the reality of it is I don't have to do a lot of that. I think they had an opportunity to see, and that's the great part about having an organization that like we have at West Bloomfield. From day one, we hit the ground running with a desire to win the state championship, and we've done it. And the players after that have watched the players before them go on to win. So it's not a lot on me. It's just sitting back observing and coming in the gym and putting in the work.
Good point. Love that. And with us right here live on The Splash, joining us from West Bloomfield High School, Lakers girls varsity basketball head coach Darren McAllister, talking about being named the Michigan High School Coaches Association Girls Basketball Coach of the Year. Well deserved, by the way. I want to speak on clearly your system that you're creating is creating all-stars on the court, but let's go to off the court. How are you ensuring that your players not only excel on the court, but grow as leaders and role models in the community off the court?
Well, that goes back to the aforementioned people that I mentioned, our athletic director, our superintendent, and our coach. And I'm blessed with having one of the assistant coaches as an assistant principal. So we're able to make sure that the kids are doing what they're supposed to do on and off the court, mainly in the classroom. I think I pride ourselves on is we have one of the top academic teams in the state of Michigan since we've been there. And that starts with our coaching staff and athletic director. And then we try to do things in the community as far as community service. And I think that really bring out the community when we make that run and go to the Breslin Center. So it all ties in together. But I will say, that's not something that I just, lucky and found. That was something that I was taught when I was coaching at Wayne State University under the great coach, Kerry Laura.
There you go. Love that. Paying your respects also. But kind of let's go back to what you were saying. You and your assistant coaches making sure that your team and those girls get out there and do different types of community service. So they give back to the community. So in return, the community is giving back to the team. Talk about how important it is or the role that the Greater West Bloomfield community plays in supporting the girls Lakers basketball program.
Well, I tell you, Kevin, one of the things that we saw in year one, playing at the Breslin Center and playing against Rockford in the state championship, it was orange that was filling up 3/4 of that gym. And we said at that time, we're not going to let that happen again. We're going to make sure that we have our fans out there and our supporters out there. Now, we did we ended up winning the state championship, but that was just fuel for the fire. And this past year, we had the mantra of big game hunting, and it was amazing to look in the stands and see people wearing camouflage that I never would have thought it would have touched. So, it's a great feeling. And it all comes back to just the community buying in for one, us giving to the community and it reciprocates.
Love that, man. And with us right here on The Splash, head coach of the West Bloomfield girls varsity basketball team, Darren McAllister, talking about being named Michigan High School Coaches Association Girls Basketball Coach of the Year, and just talking about their team currently. Now, from your perspective, I just want to kind of pick your brain on this. How do you manage and balance the pressure of not only, you set the bar to win championships now, Coach. How are you balancing the pressure of winning these championships with the responsibility of making sure you still have these well-rounded student athletes?
That's a great question, and I'll answer it like this. It's no pressure. Pressure is that mom, as single mom, having to make ends meet when she don't really have any help. Pressure is that person being diagnosed with a sickness they can't do anything about, and it's possibly going to cost them their lives. That's pressure. This is basketball, but the key to it of not being able to have that pressure around me is to surrounding yourself with people that's going to help you accomplish your goal. And it starts with my assistant coaches, Talisha Washington, Jamie Glens, my athletic director, the superintendent, and also I'd like to mention my beautiful wife who's standing by my side all the time and gives me the opportunity to go out there and accomplish my dreams.
There you go. There you go. That just goes to show that it's a community. It's a wheelhouse of people that help support you, that also helps to support the team and the girls. We appreciate your time being here, Coach. I want to thank you again. Can you give us a little preview of what we can expect in the next season going forward?
I absolutely will. I tell you this, it's a lot of people that's counting us out, but those people that's counting us out can't count. I tell you this, people say we had talent. Absolutely, we had talent. And if you want a chicken salad, you better have some chicken. But people don't know we got some chickens over there. So we're in the kitchen. We cook it up, son. So just come on out there and check us out. You'll see.
Coach hitting us with the analogies. I love it. I love it. Pure entertainment. But, hey, we appreciate your success, and thank you again for your time. And once again, with us right here live on The Splash, head coach of the West Bloomfield Lakers girls varsity basketball team, Darren McAllister. We appreciate you for being here.
I got you on the ticket list. We'll see you there.
Once again, another West Bloomfield High School staff member being recognized for their great work for our students and youth right here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. We love that. As we mentioned on the show this week, longtime West Bloomfield board member Howard Rosenberg has officially retired and stepped down from his position, paving the way for a fresh new face to take his place. And that new face, however, is very familiar to the people of West Bloomfield, being longtime Parks Commissioner and member of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force, Vincent Kirkwood, who now joins us live on The Splash. Thank you for being here, Mr. Kirkwood.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Good to be back.
First and foremost, we want to say congratulations to you on being elected part of the West Bloomfield Township trustee board. Your reactions to that first and foremost.
You know what? I'm really excited about the opportunity. I'm really grateful, thankful for all the work that Howard Rosenberg put in and paved the way for me to be in this position. Prior to me running, I spoke to Howard, who had been on the trustee board for, I believe it was 16 years. And he was kind of telling me things that I needed to know. And other members of the board as well were supportive in me running. And I just think it was the right time for a new perspective on the board. And here we are.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
No, timing is everything too. If it has to be the perfect time for stuff, and obviously it was for that to make that transition. So I understand that. Now let's talk about your experience from Parks and Recs Commissioner and the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force. How do you feel like that experience together has helped you prepare for your new role as West Bloomfield Township trustee?
That's a great question. I think the best way to explain it is that being on the West Bloomfield Parks and Rec Board, as well as the founder and chairman of the Diversity Task Force, it has provided me, both opportunities have provided me with a strong foundation in public service, community engagement, governance, and inclusive governance. Serving on the Parks and Rec Commission, allow me to understand the importance of the residents and public spaces and fostering community relationships, healthy lifestyles, environmental stewardship. All of those things help me get to this point doing on the Parks and Rec Board. As it relates to the Diversity Task Force, I was involved in deep initiatives that fostered inclusivity, that made sure that all voices were heard, regardless of backgrounds and regardless of race and culture and ethnicity. Both of those roles have taught me how to approach complex issues, and I know that there'll be some complex issues, but I'll be able to work collaboratively with the rest of the board as well as the residents of West Bloomfield.
Good point, too, because I tell you, I don't care if you're in school, you're at work, whatever. You're going to have to work with different people, different ideologies, cultures, races, religions. So you might as well know how to do that in general for the better progression of the community. I understand and respect that. You growing up with a large family, from my understanding, and hardworking parents as well, what type of lessons shaped your approach to the type of leadership and service that you provide?
Yes, I did grow up in a large family. There was 8. I had 7 brothers and sisters, so there was 8 of us all together in the one house. So the things that I've learned with that situation is, I would say, cooperation, patience, and empathy. With so many personalities under one roof, we kind of had to work together to support each other. I had to support my sisters and my brothers. And my brother had to watch me while mom went to work, and I had to watch my younger siblings. We shared resources. We found solutions to problem solve as a team. And although we were, 16, 15, and 12, 11, 10, 9, we worked together to find those solutions and share the resources. Like, one of us couldn't get all of the Fruit Loops. We had to share the Fruit Loops, So my parents instilled in me hard work. They instilled in all of us hard work, a strong work ethic. They taught me that service begins with others. So you should always treat others with respect and with kindness, and the others should come first. So, we were taught that growing up as a kid, whether it was helping out our sibling with the task, homework, cleaning up a chore, whatever it was. I learned leadership that way, and it has brought me to this point in my life, which I'm grateful for.
Perfect. And like you said, it taught you sharing, being patient, that type, dealing with different personalities, all different types of things. Like we said before, it's going to help you deal with different people's different personalities and making sure everyone's voice is heard too. With us right here live on The Splash, the newly elected West Bloomfield Township trustee, Vincent Kirkwood, talking about his new position, his plans, and experiences, by the way. With that being said, what are your top priorities for building a stronger, safer, and more inclusive West Bloomfield Township?
I've gotten really close with public safety, and I think that's really important, especially in the day that we live in. Our police and our fire departments. I want to make sure that they have the resources and the training that they need to serve our community properly, to understand that our community is not just one demographic, but it's a group. We have from here to here. So the bar is set for what we have in the township. And I want to make sure that our fire and our police understand that. And I think that they do. I think they've done a great job looking at it from outside of the seat that I serve in now. I think it's been great, but I want to continue to foster positive relationships between, our law enforcement and our residents.
Good point.
So public safety, that's one. Number 2 would be community engagement. Increasing opportunities for residents to engage with local government, share their concerns with me. I always share my information, my email, my phone number, because I believe that every resident should be heard and should be valued as we on the board make decisions. I think it doesn't work unless we hear from the residents of West Bloomfield. And then lastly, of course, I wouldn't be who I am without saying inclusivity and diversity. Continuing the work that we started on the diversity task force, implementing policies and programs that celebrate and support the diverse makeup of our community, of our township, making sure that all residents, regardless of their background or identity, I want them to feel welcome, I want them to be respected, and I want them to feel safe. And I think those are the top three. I've got more, but those are the top three things that I think that I want to bring to this seat in the township.
Yeah, and I like that you have more too, and I like that you elaborated on those, by the way, too, Mr. Kirkwood. But ultimately, it's just giving you the chance to explain that, give that perspective to our residents and to our audience as well. I know we're pressed for time, don't want to hold you up. Very important question though: how do you plan to engage residents and ensure transparency as you work to address all the issues in West Bloomfield Township: infrastructure, safety, equity, and more?
So, I want to be creative. So I'm gonna hold some maybe coffees with Vincent for residents. We have the regular town hall meetings or the township meetings twice a month. We're still gonna have those, and residents are more than welcome to join those. But aside from that, I kind of want to do something separate that engages the community. I want to increase transparency. Providing regular updates on township. We have it on the board or on the website, what we talked about in the meeting, but I want to increase that. I want to engage social media a little bit more, because we know we don't want it to be just one type of demographic in West Bloomfield, whether it be old or young. We want it to be a mix. And that's what we're seeing that this community is turning into, is a mixture of seniors, young people, people with children. So I think that is one of the things I want to do. And then I think our decision making needs to be data driven. I think we need to utilize data to identify areas that need improvement, especially around like public safety and infrastructure, and ensuring that the residents have that data and it's in an understandable format for them to digest and look at as well. So those are my goals and things I want to do to continue to build transparency within West Bloomfield Township.
Yeah, it's important not only to have data, make sure data is accessible, information is accessible, make sure it's easy to digest and consume for the average resident also. Great points you made. And we appreciate your time again, Mr. Kirkwood. We know you have a lot to do and you're very busy, but we appreciate you taking time to be here. Once again, the newly elected West Bloomfield Township trustee, Mr. Vincent Kirkwood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Yeah. Looking to possibly catch up with a coffee with Mr. Kirkwood very, very soon as he starts to move around in the township. We will keep you updated as well. There's a lot more residents in West Bloomfield that are doing great things, specifically even creating more content that's being seen and heard around the world and around the country. More specifically, we actually had on the host of the Basquatch Hunter recently, who talked about his show, and he actually recorded a few more episodes all the way down in Atlanta. So join us right here live on The Splash to talk about that. We have host of the Basquatch Hunter and author of The Adventures of Sasquatch, Mr. Mike McKinstry. Thank you for being here, Mike.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Man, doing just fine, man. I was doing some social media scrolling and came across your page and saw that you just went on an adventure recently, traveling to Atlanta and actually met with the pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, Dylan Lee. Just talk about how that collaboration came about, please.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for going on my socials. That's where I kind of post all of my behind-the-scenes stuff and the action stuff, so I appreciate you going there. Yeah, this one was actually different. Usually when I plan episodes, it's a pretty big process of, brainstorming and, writing and coming up with ideas, reaching out to people. This one was exactly the way it should be. We had a mutual friend in the fishing world, and they said, hey, you two need to meet. And that's how it started. And we ended up flying down there and having an absolute blast.
That is pretty cool, too. See, one thing I know about your show, if I'm not mistaken, is you pretty much if people aren't familiar with it, kayak fishing, you introduced them to kayak fishing. But if I'm not mistaken, he was already familiar with it. So just talk about the overall what you learned from Dylan Lee and what you all talked about a little. Give a little bit of information if the episode isn't out already.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the episode's going to air next summer. Actually, I think mid-August it'll air on Discovery Channel, and then online streaming everywhere. But yeah, this episode was fun because he's one of 2 guests our entire season who actually have kayak fished before, let alone fished before. Most of our guests have never held a fishing pole. So in our show, we get to capture their first experience, not only how to fish, but catching their first fish. And in this one, it was. I actually liked it a little bit. It was a little bit different because I didn't have to teach him how to do anything. I had to teach him how to use the kayak a little bit because he wasn't familiar with this kayak. He's never been in a pedal drive kayak. So there was some differences. But we got to hang out and just talk, and we felt like we were old friends that just haven't seen each other in a while, and that's what fishing does. And we just hung out and talked for 5 or 6 hours, caught some great fish, and got to learn a whole lot, not just about fishing this time, but about each other and our paths and our journeys. And it was an incredible episode.
Right. That's actually pretty. I wasn't expecting that, like him to be as experienced with fishing and doing things like that. So to the point where you really didn't have to teach him or tell him anything. That's very unique, especially with him being a professional athlete. So I would imagine from some of the pictures that I saw on your Instagram that you actually went to his field of play also. What were some things that you learned from Dylan Lee as well?
Yeah, so it's funny, after every episode is done filming, the guest or someone involved in the production always asks me, what was your favorite episode you filmed so far? And it's funny because I always have the same answer where I'm like, I don't know, they're all amazing. But this one, at the end of this one, I just stood around and I looked around the field and I was like, you know what? I think this is my favorite one because it was so grand and so incredible. Like, we got to have full access to the field at Truist Park in Atlanta, Georgia. And if anybody's ever been a fan of baseball, you know how protected that grass is. It's so sacred. It's so tough to be able to walk on it, let alone work on it. And I got to hit some baseballs. I hit over 100 baseballs, actually, up to 75-mile-an-hour fastballs and sliders I was hitting. Hitting out to outfield is incredible. Got to throw pitchers from the mound. Again, we got to just hang out and talk and just have amazing conversations. And, one of the coolest things happened, too. I actually brought it out here with me, but check this out.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, they made me a custom official Atlanta Braves member for the day. So
I
couldn't pass that up either. So it was a blast. It was so much fun. And, I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, but something about being in that atmosphere turns you into a kid all over again. And, there was a lot of groups of kids there doing tours and going crazy that they saw a professional baseball player on the field. And he stopped to sign some autographs and take pictures. And it kind of brought it all full circle where I was like, man, how many people dream about doing this? And it was just such a great moment. It wasn't one of my favorite episodes because of baseball in general. It was just the overall energy. It was incredible.
Wow. And I appreciate you for elaborating on that. I saw the picture. I saw the long caption with you standing on the field, Truist Field. And I almost kind of felt the same thing. I was like, wow, I know that type of feeling, man. I know that. But with us right here live on The Splash, host of the Basquatch Hunter and author of The Adventures of Sasquatch, we have Mike McKinstry on talking about his latest episodes that are due to come out very, very soon. And also locally based West Bloomfield, Basquatch Productions LLC, based in West Bloomfield. We love to have him on and talk about it. Don't want to hold you up too much longer. I want to elaborate a little bit on that moment of you just taking that time, right, in silence and reflection. Tell me why that's so important, especially for someone like you who has a very, very busy schedule, reflecting on that feeling of being a kid and everything that, got you to this point right now.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, too, because with that jersey, it all brought it, we had a moment of downtime when we were filming. We were doing interviews with Dylan on the other side of the field, actually in the bullpen, which is in the very back of the outfield. And I had to go walk over to the dugout to go pick up something, which is a lot further than you think, too. That's a huge. It really puts it in perspective when you're walking it. And I was like, man, this is so big. And I don't know what it was, but the smell of the grass and the breeze and the wind and just looking around and wearing a Braves jersey and, seeing all the kids in the stands that are waving and stuff that are trying to just get a glimpse of the field. I had a weird moment where I sat down in the dugout for about 15 minutes, took some deep breaths, and just looked around. And I walked out of the dugout and just felt the energy of being a player for a minute, of just what it would feel like to walk out of that dugout with the crowd staring at you. And then I walked across the entire field, the infield, the outfield. And I had a moment of reflection I normally don't get to have. It's very rare in the show we get to sit still. And I'm not the type of person that likes to sit still in general, but we never really have downtime to like absorb things. And I had a moment in the field where it was so deep, and it was emotional. It was intimate. It was incredible. And it just really made me realize not only how lucky I am, but how much hard work it took me to get there. And, you know, there was hundreds of kids walking around the concourse up top, and they were all on tourism groups and stuff. And I was just like, man, like if any of those kids just knew that all they have to do is dream, and all they have to do is just persevere and not give up and just overcome obstacles. If they knew at that age, if I knew at that age even, that you could be on that field like they're dreaming about, they're looking down, they're dreaming about being on that field. And it's like, you could do that. And the fact that I get to sit there for a minute and absorb that and realize that I get to do that. And, you know, I even reflected on other episodes and other things I've done. And, you know, we've filmed with a lot of amazing guests this year, like some professional athletes that I've just dreamt about. And it was one of those moments where I was like, man, like I'm lucky, but at the same time, like,
yeah,
I hope people really take away that if you don't give up, then you can do that too. And anything you dream about, no matter what it is, whether it's being the president of the United States, or whether it's being on a baseball field, or whether it's being with NHL players, or whatever it is, you know, I had that moment where I was like, I knew what brought me there.
Yeah.
You know, like I had a moment of appreciation almost for myself, which is weird because I never have that. And I just sat there and I was like, man, I'm so proud, and I'm just so happy. And like my team is amazing. And, you know, dreaming is just so powerful, but having the ambition and the perseverance to actually pursue that dream, like that's where the real power is. And I got to feel that. It was incredible.
And I know it's very inspiring for a young person or anybody right here in West Bloomfield to hear and hear you say that. But thank you again, Mike, for your time. We appreciate you. Lastly, very, very quickly, tell people how they can catch up with your episodes of the Basquatch Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely. So check out BasquatchHunter.com. That's where all of our YouTube videos are parked as well. Also, Discovery Go, Discovery Plus has all of our episodes from this season and last season. And then also, of course, starting in July of 2025, you can watch us on Discovery and Pursuit Channel every Saturday for all of our new episodes. And we have some amazing new stuff. So just Google the word Basquatch on anywhere and you'll find it all on there. But go check it out. And also the book series, which you've also mentioned a couple of times too. The Adventure of Sasquatch, the best Christmas gift ever for kids. It's an amazing children's book series we have. And we have a coloring book we are releasing. It's the first time I've talked about it publicly. But we have a coloring book we're releasing in a few weeks here as well that you can follow along the adventures too.
Perfect. Once again, host of the Basquatch Hunter and author of The Adventures of Sasquatch, Mike McKinstry, we appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Great inspiration for anybody looking to achieve great things coming out of the Greater West Bloomfield area. Once again, I am your host, Kevin McIntosh. If you see me around, stop by and say hi. I might want to talk to you. Per usual, we are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Cribbity crap. Cribbity crap.